Right, we're joined by Ammo Talwar MBE, the Chief Executive of Punch Records, who work right across Birmingham and the West Midlands, predominantly around music and engaging with young people in a positive way and using arts and culture and music to develop talent within our city. Ammo's journey, if you haven't watched it, go to the Lazal's First website and watch his interview. Hear about the things that inspired him to do so much in the community. Many of you have been watching the interviews and have sent in some questions, particularly school children from the local primary schools here in Lascelles. And today, on their behalf, I'm going to pose those questions, those very tough questions, to Ammo. Ammo, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me. It's good to be back talking about Lascelles.
Great. You looking forward to these questions? These very tough questions.
I'm a bit worried actually because I think I know what the children of Lascelles are like. They're quite resilient and they always ask the hardest questions. So I'm a bit worried, but we'll give it a go.
Great. So I'm going to get cracking. And the first question, Ammo, is during your association with Lascelles, how has it changed? How has Lascelles evolved?
Lascelles, the area, I think, like with a lot of inner city areas, there's two parts of it. One is communities come and go, and then you have the long-staying communities. So for me, Lascelles has always been the heartbeat of what Birmingham is going to look like in the next 10 to 15 years. We have new buildings and we have refurbishment on a lot of the, especially the religious buildings. You know, as a child growing up, the temples, the mosques, they needed a bit of work. I think in the last 10, 15 years, they've had work. New communities have come in and they've added a different flavour with new foods, new cultures. And Lascelles is as vibrant as it ever was, I think.
Great, Ammo. Why did you choose to follow the career that you've chosen? What motivated you? And how does that, emerging two questions then, how did your journey reflect on your dreams as a child? You know, did you follow your dreams as a child or did you go down a totally different route?
So when I went to Lascelles Primary and then a secondary, I was really good at maths and sciences, and so I went down the engineering route. I wasn't particularly good at English literature, so in my family there was one brother, one sister, and myself. Two of us went down the engineering route. My sister went down the literature route, and I wanted to work in around civil engineering. So that's what I studied when I went to college and university. And I actually started off as a draftsman working in the sort of computer-aided design. It's called CAD-CAM. Well, it was called CAD-CAM. It's probably called something else now. And so actually, the area of work that I do now in terms of music, community, activism is probably completely different to what I thought I was going to go into. But it was those skills, I think, from learning at school around maths, numeracy, being able to count quickly, being able to look at equations that really helped me when I set up my new business, which was music and a record store in Perry Bar. So the answer to the original question was I'm actually working in the area that I never thought I would be working in.
Great, interesting. So you don't always follow your dreams, but I know you love what you do, and you wake up every morning absolutely passionate about changing things and making Birmingham a better place through art and culture.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because I always say when I was working around civil engineering, I wanted to build bridges, and through arts and music, we're still building bridges, but we're just using a different vehicle. We're using an artistic and creative vehicle to build bridges. So, in one sense, my values and my aspirations haven't changed. It's a slightly different medium.
Great. So moving on to the next question. have you, what's your proudest achievement, and have you won any awards, any trophies? I see you've got MBE after your name there, like I have. So that's clearly a huge honor that you got for serving the community. So tell us about your proudest achievement, and tell us about the awards and accolades you've won over the years.
So I've had quite a few really proud achievements. I think um, when I first opened my record store, I was really young. I was 24. I set up a business. Didn't really know much about how to run a business, and it was the community and my family that really helped me. That was a really proud achievement. I think uh, understanding the impact that you have. So a lot of people, they sort of tend to, they work and they go to different places, different countries, doing more work in my local area and making that change and impact uh, has been some of my proudest moments. Just to know that helping new communities. I don't have a particular project because we, there's loads and loads of different projects that we've done over the years. But one of my proudest moments is when my mum and dad finally realized that I wasn't just hanging out in record stores listening to music. So when I started working in schools, there was a moment where my parents thought I was a teacher, and that was quite a proud moment, even though I wasn't. And in terms of accolades, there's been quite a few, but I think, for me, it's always when the community or your peers celebrate you more than other people. I think, so for me, seeing change in local areas and going into the local shop is really important for people to say, hey, that really helped me. Awards and ceremonies and those global things, they are important, but not as important as that local endeavor.
Great. So the next question, you've touched upon some aspects of this, but I'm going to repeat this question, and it's tell us about what motivates you to work in the community. What is it that when you wake up in the morning, why do you want to contribute to your local community, and why did you want to become a leader in the local community or an activist in the community? So the two questions are linked.
Sure. So I think a lot of my uh, leadership and skills are really fundamentally based and started from home. I really believe that. So I think my parents instilled a real sense of, we call it seva. Some people call it philanthropy. Different communities have different words and names for it. I'm Indian Punjabi, by the way. So part of our culture is always about giving back. And also, my mum always said, the more you give back, the more that comes back to you. It's a kind of boomerang metaphor. So I was instilled in those really hard values of, caring, collaboration, ensuring that community is well served. And that, I think, those are the values that really helped me build a business, build a career in music, and travel the world. And those values never leave you. And also, when you go home, you go into you end up being a child in your parents' home, and you see and you feel those values, so they never leave you.
Great. Emma, we're going to the final two questions are about schools during your childhood years. So we're
Mm.
going to take you many, many years back, many decades back to when you were a young lad at Lazelle's primary school.
Yeah.
So the question is, when you were at Lazelle's primary, was the secondary school next door, or was it on another campus? And the
Holt,
final, go on, answer that question, then I'll
yeah.
come back.
So Holt was my natural secondary school to go to. My brother and my sister went to Holt. Um, they were separate schools. So, but I used to walk through uh, the where the lighthouse centre is now. There used to be houses there, so I used to walk past Holt School to go to Lazelle School. But they were ultimately separate schools run by separate teams.
Great. So the secondary school did exist there on.
It did, yeah. My brother and sister went to Holt
Yeah, yeah.
in those days.
And the final question is: did Heathfield Primary School, exist throughout your childhood? Do you recall Heathfield
Yeah,
being?
I'm pretty sure Heathfield was around. They weren't very good at football though, from what I remember.
Yeah.
Lazards were definitely the best team when it comes to playing football, and we were really
Heathfield was
big.
always better at playing cricket, weren't they?
I can't remember, but what I do remember is we used to have tournaments in Handsworth Park, and I don't remember Heathfield School much. I remember St George's, I remember Great Bar, I remember Lazar's, but I don't remember Heathfield. So yeah, definitely it was around.
Great. That concludes the questions. Amo, thank you very much for your time. It's been a pleasure to once again pose these questions on behalf of the young people. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
So that was Ammo Talwar, the chief executive of Punch Records. Keep watching our videos on the Lazar's First website and keep sending in your questions, because we'll have another session in the coming months and continue to pose your questions to the leaders of yesterday so they inspire the leaders of tomorrow. Thank you very much.